Okay, so it's kind of first thing in the morning, and I haven't showered yet. I haven't brushed my teeth, but I did manage to put my pants on, which is big for me because I like painting all morning without my pants on. I think better pantless. I have more continuity. I don't know, I feel better about life when my pants aren't on. I don't know, it just works. But I put my pants on because I wanted to talk about what I'm doing in Mahitable, the Tattooed Lady. For the past week, I've gotten all the detail, all the tattoos in place. I've got some of the shadowing in place. I've got some of the highlights in place. So I decided to dig in last week into the background. And in my reference material on this, there really aren't that many embroidered roses. There's a piano cover or shawl hanging in the background of Mahitable, but there really isn't this much embroidery, not this much detail. But I like to go big or go home. I want the idea in this piece. You know, this really strong, somewhat freakish image. I want it kind of overloading a little bit. But I also have to tone it down, which is what I'm working on now. Last night these were bright greens, bright pinks, bright peaches and oranges, and it's got to be toned down. It has to be pulled into the background. So what I'm doing is I've got a little glaze mixture going of phthalo blue or phthalo turquoise by Gamblin Artist Colors, Gamblin's Transparent Earth Red, which is of course my favorite, and Neo McGilp, which brings it all together. It's a great mix. Oops, can you see it? Sorry, the lighting in here is bad today. Gamblin Neo McGilp, which I use in everything. I use it the entire time painting. I use it when I'm finished painting. I use it to glaze, to darken, to lighten, to give dramatic effect without adding a lot of paint. So I've got this little mixture going, and what I'm doing is, I don't know how much this camera's going to pick up, but I'm going into brightish areas and just adding little brushes here and there so it pulls back. Again, I don't know how much the camera can see, but it's working. And what I'm also doing, because I don't want all the bright colors and all the darks to be regulated to that section of the painting, because it'll totally screw with the viewer's mind and degrade the entire piece, is I'm carrying the colors and the shadowing over to other sections of Mahitable. Taking the glaze and using it over in her chest, over in her neck. But I'm also taking some of the peaches and the reds and the pinks and adding it, like she's got a pink stripe there for her cheek, over here as well, which is something I do in all my paintings anyway, is I highlight the cheeks. Lights and darks and sometimes vague, but colors in the cheeks. So I'm bringing it down, I'm adding it. I'm bringing it down here, so it's constant flow of color and light and shadow and idea and movement. Now I had another thing I wanted to talk about today, and I don't know how well it's going to come out, but I was watching YouTube videos last night on World War II and Paris in the 1920s and stuff like that, and I hit upon a video of, okay. Yep, this is early in the morning. A video on degenerate art, and of course we know degenerate art from the Nazis. Okay. Holy moly, just a mess, just a total mess. Anyway, we know degenerate art from the Nazis. Hitler believed he understood art. He believed he knew what good art was, what bad art was. He believed he should be the harbinger of all things tasteful, and he was set out to destroy degenerate art, which was, of course, the Expressionist movement, abstract, just anything that didn't fit into a classical understanding of art or classical technique. And I was reading the comments below. There were so many pieces of work that were destroyed. There were so many pieces of work that were lost. There was some stuff that really was just bad in this degenerate art, which he hung in a degenerate art show to devalue the work and to say to the German people, this is what I do not want you doing. This is the direction I do not want you thinking in. I want you, as opposed to that, I want you thinking the way I think. I want you to have the taste that I have. It was just total propaganda of these people are evil and bad and should die. And I am your whatever. I am the guy that will tell you how to think. And, we still see this today, but, I was reading through the comment section of this particular video, and the level of stupidity was so upsetting and so astounding to me. It's not the type of stupidity where you can get them to bend. There is no ability to try and understand the time period, the movements in art that were happening, the movements in thought, and the reasons that those paintings, or what those paintings did to affect further generations. There were movements coming about, there were movements in play, Dadaism, abstract, Cubism, Expressionism, blah, 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 were all in play, and they were all fresh and new, because we were coming also out of Impressionism, which came as a response to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of realism and depicting the church, or the ideas of the church and what the church wanted people to appreciate. There's all these movements as a backlash to this is what you'll think, this is what you will see, this is how you will paint, this is how you will create. Total and complete backlash. And although Hitler tried to bury these ideas in these movements, little sparks of them just kept flying out and carried creatives, I hate that word, it's just so ineffectual, but creatives on and sparked new ideas and new ways of thinking, new ways of seeing color, and new ways of producing work. Total movements have come out of the degenerate art that Hitler tried to destroy. And the artists that he tried to dehumanize. Without that degenerate art, we would not have had a Picasso. We would not have had thousands and millions of other artists producing new ways of thinking. Anyway, I'm getting repetitive. One artist that really affected me was Toulouse-Lautrec. I'm just kind of obsessed with Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, and I know it's not pronounced correctly, but I love Toulouse-Lautrec. And at the time, he was considered a radical. He was told he was not an artist. He was told he was not good enough. And damn it, that little guy just kept producing work. And he kept crawling up on a printing press and producing new ideas out of the printing press and finding ways to make these fantastic posters. His brush strokes were loose. His ideas were loose. And from what we understand, his portraits in these little posters were not just loose, but accurate. He captured the soul of the reference, the same way degenerates at least attempted to. Anyway, without Toulouse, without me studying him inside and out, without the Impressionists, without Dadaism, without Cubism, without abstract art, degenerate art, and every other art that has been deemed unworthy, I wouldn't be able to produce this. I wouldn't be able to think in directions that are now taking other people in new directions and giving new ideas to other people, whether it's through mediums or the way I block out certain structures in my painting, like her face. So to the stupid people who are writing things like this is not art, There's nothing you can say. You can't argue with stupid, you can't argue with drunk. But for the rest of us, let's just keep pushing forward in our sometimes bizarre, odd, and untried ideas. Let's develop new ways of thinking. Let's continue to evolve. Because the Hitlers, which is a pretty horrible example of a human being, I guess. Well, yes, it is, but a human being, ew. A pretty horrible example of a leader dragging humanity down to depths we didn't know existed. I forgot what I was saying. But let's combat that with a constant evolution of our abilities to see, produce, feel, and speak after several cups of coffee. Anyway, gotta get back to work on her. I've got umpteen other things to do, always. There we are. Ciao.